Sixx Sense. I'm Kyle Kreis. I have a very special guest joining me on the phone, Martin Lewis. He produced this new box set, released the Human Rights Concerts. This is the first time this has been available on DVD. Martin, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me today.
My great pleasure, Kyle.
Now, why has it taken so long for this to get on DVD? I mean, these first concerts happened, in the mid-'80s.
Well, first of all, because I'm very old, so it takes me a long time to do everything, Kyle. The real reason why these have taken their time is because when these concerts happened in the mid-'80s, we were following the style of Live Aid. You may remember when Live Aid happened in 1985, Bob Geldof very famously said, hey, let's not put this out on audio or on home video. Let's just make it a one-time special event. And that's what they did. So Live Aid happened. They put the tapes on the shelf. When Amnesty International started doing all these fantastic tours and concerts, they just followed the same idea. They let the concerts go out on TV one time, and they put them on the shelf. Well, of course, all of that changed in terms of Live Aid a few years ago on the 20th anniversary. Bob Geldof said, hey, the world's changed. Let's put them out on DVD and let's make them available so that the charity benefits, because there were some kind of bad quality VHS things circulating on YouTube and so on. And he said, let's put them out on DVD properly. And that gave me the idea, hey, Amnesty International got all these fantastic concerts. They're sitting on the shelf. Let's do what they did with Live Aid and make them available.
Now, you had to pour through, there must have been, days and days of footage here, and you were able to narrow it down to only 17 hours. What kind of process was that like?
Well, it was a time-consuming process, but a very enjoyable one. First of all, there were 4 completely separate sets of concerts. There was a big U.S. tour in 1986, which had U2 and the Police, who did a reunion for that tour, and Bryan Adams and Peter Gabriel and so many other artists. Then there was a huge world tour in 1988 that was Sting and Peter Gabriel with Bruce Springsteen and other artists, and further concerts. So I waded through everything that had been out there, and I wanted to digitally restore it to make it look as good and sound as good as it could be. And when I did that, I'd ended up with 12 hours of concerts. But then, because I'm a complete nut and because I love sharing great stuff, I thought it would be great to have, in addition to these 12 hours of concerts, some contextual material, some additional segments that would shed some insight into why the artists did it, why they care about human rights. So I then created another 5 hours of bonus material, taking it up to 17 hours.
You're just a glutton for punishment. It wasn't enough to have a dozen hours of performances. You went back and did the extra effort.
Well, it was, of course, a labor of love, and among the material we got, we found some fantastic vintage press conferences and TV clips from the time, and great things that were going on. But then I also thought we need some fresh perspective from the main artists. So I went to Sting and Bono and Peter Gabriel and got them to do new interviews, looking back on why they'd participated for Amnesty International. But the real challenge for me was to get Bruce Springsteen. Now, I've known Bruce socially for many years, but he's a guy that doesn't do a lot of TV interviews. He just doesn't go in front of a camera and talk about his music. That's just not who he is. So it took me about 3 years to persuade Bruce to do it. He's a lovely chap. And I don't know why he doesn't do more interviews, because he's really good in interviews. It's just not his thing. But he gave a really great in-depth interview. And then in addition to those interviews, I then found some other materials. Famously, on the 1986 tour that Amnesty did, Peter Gabriel wandered around with a camcorder videotaping everything. Now, I should say that a camcorder in 1986 was the size of a huge VHS stick. It was like a ghetto blaster. But his camera got stolen, and most of his tapes were lost. And when I asked Peter, hey, what happened to your home movies? He said, I don't think I have them anymore. I managed to track down some of the tapes, and we've found them and restored them. And so there's a home movie from Peter Gabriel, including an amazing jam session with Bono and Larry from U2 and guys from Peter Gabriel and Lou Reed's band jamming together. So I thought that was a great catch. I've got to put that on the DVD.
Oh, wow. Was that maybe is there a single highlight, I guess, out of all this after watching it again and putting it together?
It's hard to say. I think for me, one of the things that obviously finding the U2 Jam was one of them. But for me, ultimately the music and the special collaborations, the idea of seeing Bruce Springsteen, Sting, and Peter Gabriel singing together, or Police being joined by Bono, and there are also some great all-star moments where they sing the song "I Shall Be Released." Not just is it all the stars together and Lou Reed and Bryan Adams and Sting and Bono, but they also brought on stage some of the political prisoners who've been freed and who've been released by Amnesty, and them singing "I Shall Be Released" with the stars, to me that really made it special.
Now, I mean, the last concert was from '98. You know, are we ready is it time for another human rights concert? Is it possible in this era when there's so many festivals and different touring bands to put together another giant human rights concert?
I think the music world has changed, so you've got to constantly reinvent. I mean, those concerts were fantastic for what they were. I think the music world has changed, so I don't know if it would work in quite the same way. But one of the other things that we also put on this DVD was to show that support for Amnesty from the music community has continued to this day. We put in some performances from both stage and studio by other artists for Amnesty. So you see Coldplay, Mumford & Sons, Green Day, Radiohead, a lot of other artists involved. And we even created a little website, which is humanrightsconcerts.com, which has all the background information about the concerts and the DVD.
Oh, well, that's great. That's great. I'm talking to Martin Lewis. The box set is released, the Human Rights Concerts, all the Amnesty International concerts from '86 to '98. Martin, this looks like a great box set. I thank you so much for taking the time today with us.
My great pleasure. Great fun to chat with you.
Thanks a lot. Have a good one.